A warm welcome to day 3 of the first ever youth track of the Geo Secretariat. My name is Sandra Delalikeme and I work with the Geo Secretariat as their DRL consultant, supporting the DRL working group. I will be your MC, your master of ceremony for this session. For the past 2 days of the youth track, we've had some very interesting presentations from young people demonstrating that young people are also professionals too, considering the caliber of presentations and the amazing work that they are doing with Earth observation tools and services. There was also a strong enthusiasm from both the Geo Secretariat, or let me say generally adults and young people, to establish the Geo Youth Community of Practice. From the discussions that went on, it was clear that we had to match the Geo Working Program needs with the needs of young people as well. So for example, if Geo is looking to work more on EO applications in water management or reducing disasters that are caused by water, young people who had interest and enthusiasm to work in that could also express this needs, and then they could connect in order to have a goal that is mutually beneficial to all parties. So the kind of contributions that were made by the different interventions shows that there was so much experience that Geo could tap in to form this Geo community of practice in terms of how young people can access finance and the benefits of mentoring, having hackathons, the right kind of networking from interesting programs such as the Geo Pathways program. We'll start today's session with a keynote address from Yan Lui. She's an assistant research fellow from Aerospace Information Research Institute, the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and she will be sharing her experiences from a young scholar's point of view from the Asia-Oceania region working with Geo. Yan, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you so much, Dalali. So I am a young scholar from Aircast China, and today I'll be sharing my working experience with Geo. Next slide, please. So actually, here are 3 pictures of me joining the Geo activities. So we have the Geo Week, the AOGeo Symposium, and AOGeo Workshop. You may find it's a little bit difficult to find me for the Geo Week, so check the arrow over there. That little dot actually is me at that event. And here's me at other activities. So the reason I want to show this picture is I want to share that the young scholars has always been in the AOGO activities, but maybe we are in the corner or in the back. And I think it's a great opportunity we have this platform to share our experience and to speak up. Next slide, please. So I think the important aspects for young scholars in the GO is first we have to assist our senior representatives in the GO activities, and as scholars we also have our scientific research that we have to focus on. And with that, we hope we can build our career path with GEO and other activities. Next slide, please. So we have the whole big GEO. We have with all the countries and all the organizations with the world. And but in the whole big GEO, not everyone can join the activities. And we have regional GEO and national GEO. So in the regional GEO, for example, let's take in AOGEO as an example, we have unbalanced Earth observation capacity. And in this area, the natural disaster occur quite frequently, and we have quite diverse cultural background. And for the national GEO, in the country, we have satellite agencies and user ministries and research institutions, and they are all making contributions to geo, but they may not have the chance to enter the whole big geo activities. So in here, the regional geo and national geo actually plays a very, very important role in downscaling the information we get from the geo, and also upscale our local needs and our local capacities to our big geo. So the AO Geo-Secretary and National Geo-Secretary are assisting our senior representatives in this big activities and plays an important role in the upscaling and downscaling and the connecting part. Next slide, please. So there are three important components when we assist in the LGO secretary and the China secretary. So the first one is translating documents. So most country in Asian region, the English is not our native language. So the basic requirement is we must be good at English, and we have to translate all the important documents from geo working language to native language, so the broader community in the regional level and at the national level can get all the information from geo, and we have to translate our native needs and requirements and the capacities to English and share it with the geo. So that's the first part. For the second part, more importantly, why the young scholar gets in is because we have a background in Earth observation. So besides English, we actually understand what's going on in the field. So means that we also drafting research report about the geo-emerged topics and the local needs at regional and national level. And the third is with that, we also organizing events at the regional and national level, so we can share our experience and have deep discussion about the thematic topics. For example, we actually hold a lot of events when geo is trying to encourage the engagement of commercial sector and build a knowledge hub or improve the data sharing. And at the regional level and the national level, we have events to also push this kind of work forward to respond to the whole geo activities. Next slide, please. So here, we actually assist our senior representatives at all these events like geo plenary, XCon, PB symposium, LGeo activities, and China geo activities. So the young scholars and the younger generation actually are deeply involved in these activities, and I think this platform is a great opportunity for the young generation to speak up and share our experience. Next slide, please. As young scholars, we also take a big responsibility to study on scientific questions, and we hope our work can help in the geo priorities such as the climate actions, the sustainable development goals, and disaster risk reduction. Next slide, please. So here is a project that I want to share with you and some preliminary results that I want to show. So we all acknowledge that remote sensing plays an important role in decision-making with this societal benefits area. And let's take sustainable urban development as the example. And the picture here actually is a picture of Beijing. We can see the bird nest right over there. Next slide, please. So a few aspects you may care when you talk about sustainable urban development. One is you care how the urban area change. And for this, you need a long time series, maybe from 2000 to current to 2021. And you also care about, please click that a little bit. You also care about how the environmental of the urban area change. And for this, you may need the data for the entire year for different seasons. So here, the continuous at the spatial scale and the temporal scale are all very important. Next slide, please. But for the reality is you don't get that. You have different satellites among these whole years. So you have the spectral difference, the spatial difference, and also the temporal difference. And on top of that, you have clouds covering the area, so you don't get a clear image of the area. So the ideal situation is if you could have this great data set covering the whole Earth, and it will really help you. And for the end users, you don't need to go through a lot of data processing, and you can just go down to do the application and the analyzing. Next slide, please. So our Chinese PB member, Dr. Xinfa Gu, actually brought up this idea of spectrum Earth. So the core is the surface reflectance. And we want to have multiple spectral, multiple spatial scales, and continuous time series remote sensing observation and information of the surface area, and with full coverage and the good spectrum, and we can use this data set to support these societal benefit areas. And the end users don't need to spend time to learn about specific satellites, and they can just grab the data and use the data to do their applications. Next, please. So for this whole big project, our idea is to collect the common use satellites together to take the most use of them and put them together, and besides their own data processing, and the way do the spectral difference correction and spatial difference correction and do the gap filling, and we can have this good data set. And this actually is a really, really big project. So actually, each young scholar will take a small part of the project, and when we put it together, we will have this nice data set for the users. And this study is an ongoing study. And can you move to the next slide, please? Thank you. So here are some preliminary results that I want to show you. So this is an image of the Gaofen satellite imagery before the processing and after the processing. So we can see that before the processing, even visually, you can see the data is so different. And for the application, when you use that, you need a lot of processing, and that's not good for the end users. But after we did all the process, and for the users, they can just grab the data and do the analysis and don't worry about the difference at all. Next slide, please. And for the time continuous work, so on the left side, what we can see is the original data, and on the right side, we can see is the data after processing. So the original data, when the satellite is not there, you don't have observation, or there's something wrong with the satellite. The data is also really difficult to use. And in addition, with the clouds and everything, you just don't get great results. But after the processing, we can see a really smooth changing through the whole year and showing the variation of the whole year. And for the end users, they can just grab the data and perform their analysis. And it's really easy for them to do. Next slide, please. So for me, what I've learned from the experience is the first one is GEO is a really broad international platform compared to my other experience, because for other organizations, you may have the organization or countries with great capacity of that aspect. But for GEO, it contains all the countries and they have different, quite diverse abilities. And it's a really comprehensive network. And the second one, I think it's a great hub for us observation. It does not only have the data, it has all the researchers with all the techniques, and it has all the users that they have their needs, and they know they want to use the Earth observation. So I think GEO is a great network to bring all this together, and it's so we can all connect together, and so makes the Earth observation more useful for decision making and for the application. And for the third one is connection between research and user needs. And this one, I think it's explicit for the scholars, because generally we just focusing on a research topic. And when we publish papers and do projections, we may not think about the users that much. But the working experience with GEO make me realize that actually application is the most important thing, and we need to get out our comfort zone and really working with the users. And that's all for my presentation, and thank you for this opportunity for me to speak up and represent as a representation of our AOGO young scholars. And I really want to just say thank you.
Thank you to Yan. Your presentation was very interesting and you stuck to time. In fact, you are 2 minutes early, so that was excellent. I'm particularly happy that you highlighted in your presentation that even though young people have always been engaged in GEO activities, it's time for them to speak up and step up in both regional and national GEOs. That even though they've been at the peripheral engagement of youth, engagement in GEO activities, they've been key to the success of all the activities that have been taken so far. So that's very good to hear. To moderate this discussion is Michael Fernandez. Michael is the Communication and EcoDRL Knowledge Network Consultant with UNEP. He's currently based with the United Nations program supporting the promotion and implementation of ecosystems-based DRR for resilience to disasters and conflicts global support branch. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be here. So hi, everyone. Again, my name is Mikhail, and I'm currently based with the UNEP, also known as the United Nations Environment Program. And I'll be a moderator for the first half of the session. So first of all, I want to give a big thank you to our presenter, Jan, for the very insightful presentation. It was great to hear your perspectives on GEO and also the role of young scholars and the processing of the data, and also highlighting the key message on how remote sensing plays a vital role for the decision-making process, among other things. So thank you once again for giving us this opportunity to learn more about your experience working with GEO, especially within your regional context. It's always interesting to learn about different regions. We really appreciate your time and your effort in sharing your perspectives with us today. As such, I would like to make good use of this time for us to discuss and highlight some of the critical points covered in Jan's presentation so far, and to do a little bit more of knowledge sharing as a group. So in order to do so, I would like to open up the floor, and I think we have a comment in the chat section. So the goal is basically, I would like everyone who are participants, so basically anyone who's on this call, to join in a meaningful discussion on the presentation covered so far. So please feel free to share your questions, your ideas, or even just some comments, ideally on the chat. So we would love to hear from you as participants, and I will personally try my best to go through all of your comments and questions and ideas and share them with our colleagues and especially our presenter for further discussion. Also, if you do post something in the chat, please also let us know where you're from. It'd be nice to know your country, which will also help us to better understand and acknowledge you as a participant, understand your background, and also to understand your interest in our work. This will also be beneficial for me and my colleagues so that we can also better understand our audience demographics. In the meantime, while all of you are busy think of questions or comments in the chat, I would like to briefly highlight some of the things UNEP is currently working on and the importance of youth engagement in our work, and also provide some of my personal feedback just to get the conversation going on youth engagement. And then I hope that we'll have some time for some Q&As from the audience as well. So I will be looking out for your comments. So my current work at UNEP focuses on the upscaling of ecosystem-based disaster risk reduction, or also known as ECO-DRR, as you saw on the previous slide. In general, ECO-DRR does play a critical role, especially whenever we have discussions on things like sustainable development and climate action. The key reason I'm mentioning this is because the GEO Work Program, also known as GWP, is implementing activities using Earth observations for disaster preparedness and prevention, mitigation of potential damage, and better management of and recovery from disasters. And so I would like to thank our MC who actually raised some of these key critical points in the introduction of the session. So thank you for that. Given UNEP's role in this initiative, I would like to encourage all our participants in this call to also check out our own online resources at UNEP as well. There's plenty of them in multiple languages, and that's if you're interested in diving deeper into the work that UNEP is currently doing. In terms of our online resources, I would also highly recommend checking out our online course on nature-based solutions for disaster and climate resilience. This is a UNEP course that I personally helped coordinate, which is currently available online for free in 8 major languages, and you'll even get a UNEP course completion certificate at the end if you successfully manage to complete the course. And as Jan mentioned, there's a need to translate content into other languages, and we've strived our best to make sure content is available in other languages. So I definitely agree with Jan's statement. Our UNEP course is self-paced, and so you can take it at your own leisure. To the course, you will get to join a group of 50,000 learners from over 190 countries. And interestingly, majority of our learners currently enrolled in the course identify as being members of the youth community. So as you can imagine, it is evident that our youth engagement is growing in this field. And this is just yet another example of how youth engagement is really shaping up our projects and how we as youth play a critical component in catalyzing and pushing forward environmental initiatives and helping protect our local communities and, most importantly, our planet. So if you're interested in joining our UNEP online course on nature-based solutions, I will post a link in the chat in a bit for you just to check it out, perhaps during your break time or just whenever you're free. On a similar personal note, I'm also very pleased to see that this year's GEO's Week has introduced a youth track focusing on community-driven youth engagements and supporting GEO's activities. As you've probably heard, this youth track is aimed at laying the foundation for the creation of a GEO Youth Community of Practice, also known as a COP. This community of practice will be the place to make connections with the GEO community, including the GEO Working Program activities. It will also provide opportunities for networking and sharing experiences between its members. So please do stay tuned as we are looking for your input, especially as audience members, to help build this community of practice. We are also looking for key points of how we, GEO, can...
Sorry, Mikhail. Rama has a hand up.
Okay, Rama, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mikhail, and thank you very much, Jan and Delali. I really enjoyed the presentation from Jan. I don't know why I have some trouble in my chat room, so I couldn't finish my typing. But I totally agree that on the importance of youth in the GEO work, and maybe I will elaborate later on what Delali has started to mention in the chat room. But I wanted to ask first to Jan on, since you have been mentioning also in your slide on assisting the senior representatives, so I would like to know the current status on and challenges and how it is progressing in between providing space for youth to initiate and lead a project compared to assisting the senior? So is it still stronger as assisting the senior, or is it already starting to have more spaces for youth initiatives on geo work, and also to support the youth-led initiative work in your experience? Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again? The connection was not that good.
Okay. Yeah, so I want to know on how the status and the challenges in your experience, in your environment, between providing space provided for youth-led innovation compared to youth as assisting senior project, senior assistants. I think you have mentioned assisting senior representative. So is it starting to growing on providing more space on youth-led initiatives, or is it still on the environment of assisting senior representative where young people play important role? That's a bit different, because in one point you have the youth-led initiatives that is supported by the senior, but in the other points is this is the senior initiative that is assisted with a strong skill from the youth people.
So from my experience is I joined the GO when I started to assist our senior representatives. And actually, I think that's also a learning experience, because when I'm assisting them, actually they are also teaching me. So yeah, it's a win-win situation. And later, I realized, because before I joined the GO, I was focusing on research topics. So I didn't really, it was a little bit different for me. So it was different and interesting, because when we do our research, it was, you care about innovation and like making new method and making new algorithm, this kind of thing. But in GEO is you have to really solve the user's needs. So slowly, actually, so it's a slowly transition for me. But for all my colleagues, I would say we have different situations. So some of my friends, they are more on the administration part. So the important part of them is more organizing the events and downscaling the geo, downscaling between geo and regional geo and national geo. But for the young scholars, is we have a little bit more stronger remote sensing background than them. So it's a collaboration team. So it's a little bit how would I say it's so it's 50 and 50, I would think. So they have a stronger background in the organizing events and hosting things, and we have a little bit stronger background in the research part. So combine us together, and we try to do these things to make it better. Does that make any sense to you?
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you, Yan.
Yeah, so thank you, Rama, and thank you, Jan. And Rama, I'm sorry that you couldn't use the chat, but if anyone has questions and they're unable to use the chat, please feel to raise your hand and we'll try to address that. I just wanted to quickly conclude on the last statement I was mentioning, is that regarding the community of practice. So yes, we are looking for key points on how we, GEO, can help and attract more young people in a working program activities. So if you have ideas and comments, you could also mention them in the chat. So you can also use that chat function to mention some more. So Jan, I do have some follow-up questions for you, if you don't mind. So one question is regarding about youth engagement. So the question is, the statement is, I'm interested in hearing about if anyone has been engaged in a youth community of practice before. And so if anyone on the panel has any sort of input on this, please feel free to add your input. Jan, specifically for you, I'm also quite interested in this whole inclusiveness. So during the first session of the GEO Week, we were introduced to GEO's Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion Statement. And as part of the statement, one of the priorities identified was ensuring youth representation in GEO's activities. So I know, like the statement I mentioned before, it can be quite a broad question, but do you have any suggestions on or ideas on how we can get more people involved in GEO, especially the youth? So over to you, Jan, for any further thoughts.
Hi. So I think actually this event is a great start for the young people to speak up. And I think later more activities about the networking and sharing experience would also help. But I think for the GEO Week and the plenary, it's once a year, and there are only limited spots for the speakers. But actually, for our regional and national events, there are a lot of opportunities for the young people to speak up. So I think maybe in the future, we can think about more, giving more spotlight to the young generation. And I in the future, at the national level and the regional level, in the future event, and I will suggest my boss to consider this as well.
Thank you very much, Jan. So again, it's always great to hear perspectives. I have a follow-up for that. This is more related to your own personal career path. So one of the questions was about your current assistant position. They wanted to know if it was a paid position or unpaid volunteer role. Like a lot of people struggle with sort of getting in, sort of you can say get in the door, sort of as that sort of statement. So they wanted to know more about your own personal career growth. Like, did you start off as a volunteer position? Was it a paid position? Was it full-time, part-time? How many hours did you work? Sort of to help with sort of career development path. So do you have any suggestions and any sort of personal experiences you could add to that?
So first, it's a not paid position, but it's kind of part of my job. So it's really hard for me to say it's paid or unpaid, but it's a part-time job for sure. So maybe when I just started, it was more like 50-50 for the assistant job, for the assistant position, and 50 for the research position. But now I think I'm moving forward to more to the research position. So it's like 20-80. But I don't think there is a clear, it's hard to put a clear boundary between these two. And I'm trying to connecting these two together actually, so they can improve, they can push each other to move forward. And about the career path, so for scholars, the important thing is more, like applying for funds and writing papers. This is our criteria when we getting a promotion. And in China, the Ministry of Science and Technology, they really value the platform of GEO. So they actually have spent, I forgot the exact number, but they put funds in supporting people to do research and trying to connect with GEO. So for me, it's it's a little bit hard to put a clear boundary, and I hope the whole GEO community, and I think working with GEO also helped me to think how I can make my research more useful. And I think that's more important than paid money.
Thank you so much, Jan. No, I really appreciate the feedback. I have a follow-up question. This is from a person whose name is Nurul. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, from Indonesia. So Nurul has two questions. I'll start with the first question and I'll do the second question. So the first question is, what is your criteria for young scholars? So what defines a young scholar? Could you elaborate a little bit about that?
Young scholar, I think first of all, for scholar, you are definitely in the research area. You are either a young researcher or a postdoc or this kind of thing. I think, yeah. Today's questions are so hard. And what was the second part of that question?
Sure, no, and thank you, Jan. I know these questions are quite broad, and yeah, you're doing really good. The second part is actually similar to the first part. It's about what is your expectation of a youth scholar who wants to join GEO. So suppose we have a new scholar interested in the work of GEO. Are there certain expectations, or can they just join in?
I just joined in. Actually, it was it was not like I chose GEO. It was more like GEO chose me, or the China GEO chose me, and I just joined this one and want to see what's going on, what's happening, and once I get involved, I think it's actually quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Jan. Also, I just want to give a shout out to Jan because you have some really nice comments in the chat section. So Rama wants to thank you for your work and also for your good spirit and to keep it up for the GEO career. On a similar note, I do have another question for you. So this goes back towards your presentation. You had mentioned the connection between research and user needs, which I think is very important. So do you have any further suggestions on how we can sort of bridge that gap between research and user needs?
And I think that's really important, and that's actually really difficult to do. And I think the key is we need to make connections. We can't just hold the events and so earlier our events is more like experience changing between the researchers and because we know each other. But now we really need to connect to the user ministries and department. And that's really important, and that's really difficult because we actually speak different language. The users have their own needs and have their own language, and we have our own language because they want to know for agriculture, they want to know the production, and for the for let's say for the transportation or the urban development, they just want to know what's going on. But for us, we care about the accuracy and the new method. So I think the key is keep an open mind and try to learn each other's language and try to speak the same language. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jan. So I know we're running a little bit out of time. So I'm going to just quickly wrap up. So is there anything else you would like to add, Jan, before we conclude this session, at least the first half of the session?
Again, I would like to say thank you to GeoSAC to give me this great opportunity to speak. And I think it was a wonderful experience. When I was working with GEO and AOGEO and China GEO. And I just would like there's more opportunities for these events for the young people to speak up. And I hope after this, we can have a little bit more clear path for how younger people to communicate and to build our career paths through GEO, and how younger generation actually can really help GEO. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jan. So yes, it's a very good way to sort of conclude our session, the first half of our session. So I do want to once again thank you as a presenter, Jan, and also the GEO Secretariat for providing the space. And most importantly, I'd like to thank our audience members for taking the time just to join this conversation. So again, a big thank you to everyone. Hopefully we can continue this conversation moving forward within the next half of the session. I'm going to send it back towards the MC for further information. So thank you from my side once again.
Thank you too, Mikhail. I mean, I really enjoyed your moderation of the session. I'm sure others have too. Florian has his hand up. Oh no, he's clapping. That's good. Yeah. I'm also very happy that Jan was able to share her personal experience, because I saw it as a balance between the realities as a young person when you are starting out in your career, the fact that you have to start out with volunteer or part-time assistant that may be paid and not be paid, which is a reality we must face as young people, and the fact that sometimes it's about being at the right place at the right time, apart from having your technical passion. So it's good to hear that, I mean, as a young person myself, I'm not alone in trying to build my career. So on that note, we'll go for a break now, about 10 minutes or less. And I would just ask you to hold on, grab a coffee, grab water, and I'll play some music for this 10 minutes. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the musical interlude.
Absolutely.
So we will now continue with our next speaker, who is Lilith Shahakan. She's the director of the Center for Ecological Noosphere Studies of the National Academy of Sciences of Armenia. Lilith's keynote speech will focus on Earth observation and young generation in Armenia, how to attract, engage, and transfer the knowledge and experience in EO. Lilith, the floor is yours.
Thank you. May I share my presentation myself?
Yes, you can, if you have it open. Yes.
Thank you. Do you see it?
Yes.
Thank you. Good day, all of you. It's my great pleasure to be here, especially in Geo Youth Track, because our center, I'm representative, is still young, and we have also a team, also included young but very smart scientists, and all topics about youth is very important and very interesting for me and our center. So this joint presentation will be entitled Earth Observation and Young Generation in Armenia, How to Track, Engage, and Transfer the Experience. And this presentation will be made by me and my lovely friend and colleague, Dr. Shushanik Asmaryan. And we divided our presentations into two parts. One will be about CIS, about our center, and another one Shushanik will present the GIS and remote sensing department of CIS and the Geo and Sense cooperation history. So I'm Lilith Shahakan, director of this center, shortly CIS. I am PhD in geography, and my field of interest is geoecology, and 22 years of my life are devoted to environmental geochemistry and environmental sciences. So our CIS is one of the scientific and educational centers of National Academy of Sciences of Armenia, and it is located in the very ancient and very old city Yerevan, the capital of Armenia. We are situated in a historical city center and in a historical building dated back in 1903, but we are still young center. We are just 28 years old, and during these years, we are engaged in fundamental multidisciplinary investigations in field of the environment, ecology, food and agriculture, applying innovative GIS and remote sensing technologies. And besides the scientific departments, we have also the educational compartment aimed at master, PhD, and informal education. CIS offers also comprehensive range of scientific services to private, business, government, local authorities, NGOs, and individuals, from consulting, testing, sampling to monitoring. These all services and research, of course, is possible to carry out in our sense because we are well equipped with up-to-date devices, lab and in situ measurements devices, drones and spectral cameras, and geoservers, as well as strong computer infrastructure, which gives us opportunity to implement in situ and remote investigations simultaneously in one center, within the one center. This is a real advantage and very interesting point. to mention. The CIS comprise 4 problem-oriented scientific departments and the center, namely Department of Environmental Geochemistry, GIS and remote sensing, bioenergy and feed resources with agricultural investigations, radioecology department, and we have also a center within our center. It is the Informational Analytical Center for Risk Assessment of Food Chain. And to save our time, I don't go to the details what we are doing in our different departments, but the very important thing I want to mention is that in sense we are very multidisciplinary. So I think that you notice that listed departments have different directions and their concordant functioning under a single scientific roof offers a wide range of opportunities for topical multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary studies to conduct. So we as scientists and young science are very interested, especially to involve and carry out these multi and interdisciplinary investigations. And for this purpose, usually we create temporal multidisciplinary groups to solve concrete scientific tasks. And first of all, it is interesting to operate in the border of 2, even 3 research fields and to gain new knowledge, not only for us, but also for scientific community. As I mentioned, we have also educational departments consist of 2 chairs. One is UNESCO chair on education for sustainable development. It gives special attention to informal education, mainly working with schools, including teachers and students. And we have also the MS department, Environmental Protection and Natural Management, which is Master and PhD school and is very active in Erasmus Plus for mobility and capacity building also. So at this moment, SENS implements 11 state budgetary supported research programs, but SENS collaborates with both local and international organizations, pursuing cooperative research, agreement-based works, joint projects, student exchange, scientific consultation, assistance to authorities with making their decisions, and so on. We are publishing very much. You can, if you're interested, you can find our publications in the different bases and scientific databases. And now I want to speak about our team. You know, I have been working 20 years of working experience, and all these years mainly are connected with SENS. And I was performed from lab assistant to director. During these years, I understand that it is not right to write down or say stuff for a center, because we are a team consists of many specialists, geographers, geologists, IT specialists, biologists, chemists, food specialists, agronomes. So our working team is not so big, but we are very diverse and different, only 24 team members, and 58% are researchers. But the very interesting point I want to mention in this youth track is that we have representatives of all generations. So 37% of our researchers are up to 25 years old. 25% are up to 35 years old, and 27% are up to 44, and only 10% is representatives 25 years and above. So the average year of our research staff is 34 years old, while in Armenia average age of scientists is 65 years old. So these representatives of all generations is saying about that we have a very good atmosphere of working, and knowledge and transfer and exchange is very active in our institution. And you can see that it is very interesting point that From 5 leaders, 4 are young leaders in our center. So leaders up to 43 years old. It means that they are innovative, they like these new investigations in sphere of geo, in environment and ecology. So all I told about these 10 minutes is built and developed due to this great man's tremendous efforts, who is founder, director of the CIS, and a great scientist and a great supervisor, Professor Savatelian, who built not only the center, but also the scientific unique national school in field of environmental sciences. And when analyzing how it is possible and what are the main milestones of the success, and what are the main points I should take in my mind as not so old director and leader of the CIS, I thought that it is history we are proud of. It is well equipped, and to have a good infrastructure, we should keep and develop. Possible to carry out multidisciplinary investigation. It is the future of science, and it is very coincide with geophilosophy. To have a team with representatives of all generations, and of course young leaders, to have this effective knowledge exchange and transfer, education and science together is the main point, to give opportunity to provide lifelong learning. It is very important for youngers to have these opportunities. And of course, good supervisor, which will be smart and cool supervisor with modern world vision and way of thinking, of course. And so as young trunk participants, please take these all messages in your mind while choosing your working place and going ahead for your career. And thank you for your kind attention. Now I give the floor to my colleague Shushanik Asmaryan, who will present about GIS and remote sensing department. Thank you.
Thank you, Lilith. May I continue with my part of the presentation, dear moderator?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please continue.
Let me share my screen now. Okay, can you see? Great. Okay, thank you, Lilith. Thank you, dear moderator, dear audience. I will continue and I would like to talk a bit more about our Department of GIS and Remote Sensing. But before, let me introduce you to myself. I'm Shushanik Asmaryan. I'm a Deputy Director of CIS, and at the same time, I'm leading...
Sorry to interrupt you, Shushanik. Can you show your screen?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yes, it is not in slideshow mode. Okay. Nice. I'm a Deputy Director for Science of CIS. At the same time, I'm leading a GIS and Remote Sensing Department. Also, I'm representing the geo community in Armenia. I'm a correspondent. Now I'm a correspondent contact to make official submissions to Geo-Secretariat on behalf of Geo Principal of Armenia, and the national geo community in Armenia still under the let's say under construction. So we are now trying to bring together all the professionals to have the committee working in Armenia. Yes, as I said, I would like to talk a bit more about the Department of GIS and Remote Sensing, the foundation and further development of which brings sense and hold the country to geo platform. let me say that this department is the team is quite young and well equipped and with huge databases of geospatial data, but also we have quite nice equipments like UAVs, both helicopters, fixed wing, for thermal, visible and multispectral survey. Also, we are working with the open satellite data. Also in frames of different international and national projects, we are able to acquire commercial data and use them for our research purposes. The main activities of the department are oriented to the targeted use of GIS and remote sensing technologies for monitoring and assessing the ecological state of different environmental compartments, soil, plants, water. Try to use them for spatial planning and landscape stability assessment. We are trying to use the satellite data for land cover, land use classification, also to try to solve, to provide some solutions for sustainable agriculture, for example, monitoring the state of agricultural lands, droughts, erosion, wetlands, or recently we are really very engaged in urban resilience associated with climate change, urban resilience issues. Also, we are using the data and technologies for efficient data, geospatial data management and data sharing, adopted international standards from Open Geospatial Consortium and ISO. So the giant leap towards strengthening the international network and raising the visibility of the department was done thanks to the flagship projects, European international projects, which was launched simultaneously in 2011. And first one was Equarm project, funded in the frames of the 7th Framework Program of the European Commission. And it was aimed to reinforce the international research cooperation between CIS and European research area. For this purpose, sustainable development strategy was defined and promoted for CIS, focusing on the overall improvement of the institution's capacity, visibility, and competitiveness. The second one was a Swiss-Armenian Arpeggio project, funded by the Swiss National Scientific Foundation, and which was aimed on deploying Armenian distributed processing capacities for environmental geospatial data. Both projects, as I mentioned, started simultaneously and were important, first of all, because they gave a start to the strategic partnership with the young personnel of the University of Geneva, young but very, very professional. The second is that the partnership and this partnership transformed to the friendship in the future and give a sign to think about step up to the GEO platform. So that in 2012, the official negotiations were started with GEO Secretariat, which brings Armenia to GEO platform in 2014 as a full member of GEO. And which was really very impressive. In 2015, Armenia appears in GEO governance. That was really amazing. We became a member of GEO Executive Committee from the former Soviet countries, and that was really amazing achievement for this short period of time. So next steps up, CIS appears on Horizon 2020 program platform. Yes, successes for Armenia's international Earth observation activities include approval from the European Commission to partner on Horizon 2020 projects. And in 2017, CIS engaged to the Horizon Connecting Nature Project Consortium. Thanks to this project, Armenia's capital Yerevan appears in the list of 20 top European cities for its use of Earth observations for urban ecological improvements through nature-based solutions. By the way, yesterday during the Anchor session on urban resilience, I provided some results of this project with amazing nature-based solutions that we applied in Yerevan. Among the next strategic ongoing projects, I would like to stress the Sevamot 2 project, which enabled to reconstruct a strong partnership with our German researchers, in particular Helmholtz Center for Environmental Research and EOMAP company, which is the spin-off of German Aerospace Agency. This project is aimed to build up science-based management instruments for inland water systems in Armenia, in particular creating operational workflows for remote sensing of the water quality of Lake Sevan. This is an impressive start of the partnership also with Armenian government, in particular the Ministry of Environment as a co-founder of the project. And since young team also is responsible for the remote sensing component of the project. I would highlight the state-funded capacity building project. It was funded last year in 2012, called Machine Learning for Geo. ML for Geo project was very important because it is one of the steps towards attracting young professionals at Science and opening not the window, but the door for the professional growth. Because based on the comprehensive study of the resource capacities of the Science, we are going to develop a novel comprehensive research strategy program on improving the Earth observation data, geospatial information, yes, processing technologies. But what is more important, the strategy is aimed to further improve the skills and consolidate professional links. The project envisaged the participation of GIS and remote sensing department staff, and particularly its young specialists, in retaining and training courses and the arrangement of experience exchange in partnership with an international expert. Here, Geo platform is unique as it engages the best players in the field of geospatial industry, so-called geo initiatives, related sessions, and geo-supported international conferences are the best tool for our young specialists and young personnel to create and expand the partnership network. In the end of the project, we envisage to establish a specialized team of young professionals competent in machine learning and artificial intelligence technologies. There are lots of projects of European and US funding which opened new opportunities for further development on research and innovation, such as Armenian Data Cube for Sustainable Development with joint initiative with the University of Geneva and the Institute of Informatics and Automation Problems of the Academy of Sciences of Armenia, aimed to deploy the first Armenian Earth observation data cube through the transfer of Swiss successful experience. But our vision is the next European research and innovation program, Horizon 2020, Horizon Europe, as Armenia just signed the association to the program. So more projects funding, more opportunity for the further development. So this is in fact a story of real success, the result of a great strategy, core of which is people. In fact, the founder of our center, Sagatelian, Professor Sagatelian, directly has been indicating that humans are treasure and the sustainability of the system depends on development of human potential, and the young generation here is the most valuable one. Engagement of young generation needs strategy, how to attract young personnel to take part in the traction, paying away from idea to action. So never stop dreaming and make them go and act with young people whose energy will always fuel you, making you and your team really success driven. And the key messages to the young people: be brave to dream. The world of geoscience is miracle. It enables to be creative. It encompasses nature, environment, space, and technical innovations, taking your mind far away beyond our scope of knowledge and expand our imagination. Plan and act with team. So you can go fast alone or fast together. What is your choice? And try to discover your path of success. Never afraid of the hardest path. You will meet there the least competitors. So these are the main key messages, maybe, and the end of my presentation. If there are questions, I'm ready to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Indeed, never stop dreaming. What a brilliant and encouraging presentation from Lilith and Shushanik. Your presentation gives hope to the equal and valued partnership that can exist between generations that is mutually beneficial to advance the use of EO. I'm sure this experience will be very useful in setting up the Geo Youth Community of Practice. To moderate the session, which is after this, is the 2021 winner of the WIN-PR Leadership Award, Dr. Nuriani Rama Hanifa. She works with the Research Center for Geotechnology, Research Organization of Earth Sciences, National Research and Innovation Agency, previously known as Indonesia Institute of Sciences. Rama, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ms. Delali, and thank you very much, Dr. Shushanik and Dr. Lilith, for very, very impressive presentation. And indeed, as Delali has mentioned, strengthening from what Dr. Shushanik have mentioned in the last slide, be brave to dream, never stop dreaming, and also plan. So not only dreaming, but also bring your dream into plan and into action. I think that is the hardest part. I think dreaming an idea we can do, but then translating our dream into plan and action, I think we need capacity building for doing that. And it's impressive that you can receive a lot of amounts of grant and projects and flagships, and also involving the young leaders in your area. Also working in multidisciplinary environment through formal and informal education, and also building all this strong partnership and engaging the capacity building throughout your research center. So please allow me to reintroduce myself. I'm Nuraini Rahma Hanifa from Indonesia, and I'm currently working in the new government established research center, National Research and Innovation Agency. It is combining 4 big agencies, LAPAN, I think Florian has mentioned LAPAN, that is engaged in geo. And the second is Indonesia Institute of Sciences, where I previously belong. And then BPPT, the Agency for Assessment and Technology. And also BATAN is the Agency for Nuclear. So it's all research division in our government is becoming one. And we really hope that we can also enlarge our collaboration with GEO and also with Armenia and with China here. Allow me also to introduce our network. I really like when Dr. Shushanik mentioned go fast alone or far together. So we are choosing to go far together because I think going alone even fast is difficult and it's really difficult to go alone. So we are deciding to work together and trying to get further. So we are establishing an alliance of youth and young professionals in risk reduction for using science, engineering, technology, and innovation. We call it You Inspire Alliance. It started from Indonesia in 2018, and it is currently expanding since 2019 until now to 12 country chapters. In Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, Japan, Huaxia, it's in China, Nepal, Central Asia, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Maldives, and Malaysia. Central Asia consists of 4 countries, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, I forget the other two 10 countries. So I really hope that we probably can extend with Armenia, and maybe you can also extend your capacity building development, inviting or mobilizing some youth members from Inspire to work on Geo studying in Armenia, and also maybe we can be connected to this network. So there is already yeah, we have also several members that working in Geo. We have some monthly sharing. We call it Chokodiara Talk, and our recent talk is on utilization of emerging technologies such as remote sensing, GIS, Geo AI, machine learning, and how to use the Geo risk-informed decision making to the policymakers, and so on. We also have a flagship called Fly for Humanity in Indonesia. It is utilizing drone and UAV and ground mapping for participatory mapping for disaster responses to help the government on collecting the data on the ground. So let me start with the question from Delali Kemeh, who is asking if you have an exchange program to invite less privileged young professionals to benefit from your institution. I think you already mentioned that you have such a program, but maybe you can elaborate more on the kind of program that can benefit from your institution for young professionals.
And Rama, for your very precise inputs and summarizing of our presentations. I would say that there is no special program for exchange of young specialists, but we have lots of opportunities in Erasmus Plus mobility to have PhD students and mainly master students to share their knowledge here and to do their investigation in Armenia in our center. And we have also bilateral programs with German, with
Switzerland.
Switzerland, yes, and other countries, and we should check if we have bilateral programs with special and concrete center or country. And within this project, we will have opportunity to invite here all youngers who want to investigate in field of ecology, environment, agriculture, and GIS and remote sensing.
Thank you very much. And maybe we will type again the contact from your last slide into the chat room so we can follow the information from your research institute. So the next question is from Stephen Ramaj from Geo, mentioning that he loved the last quote. I think everyone loved the last quote of Dr. Susanik. Everyone talks about low-hanging fruits, and he think that often lazy and least challenging. He loves your proposal to choose the hardest path because that's where the real results lie. It's a commentary, not a question. So if there is any other questions, please raise your hand or put into the chat room. Yeah, I think the last quote is really touching everyone. May I ask, you have mentioned a lot about the postgraduate, if I understand, like PhDs, but do you also have the undergraduate in your department, or is it starting postgraduates? Yeah, does it start from postgraduate or starting
postgraduate?
Oh, postgraduate, so not undergraduate.
No, we have no bachelor study here, so we are starting from master and then not postdoctoral and doctoral.
I see. Thank you. And while waiting for more questions to come in the chat room, or maybe if there is someone who wants to raise your hand, allow me to ask again questions, maybe a little bit technical. Oh, there is a question from Stephen Ramaj. What about culture, language, and other topics related to working outside of Armenia? How easy or difficult do you find it to integrate in the global geo community?
I
that Armenians and our young generation go to abroad and working and had their PhD theses there also, but they come back and working outside culture, language, and other topics related to working outside with Armenia. I think that there is no problem to be out of Armenia, but it is very strongly recommended to come back to homeland.
And in fact, I make addition to the question. It is not easy, but not also difficult to integrate young personnel to geo community. In fact, it is a matter of time just to have a good strategy. Generally, the problem is that most people choose to go fast, and that's not so good practice. And because especially in developing countries, it is very hard to engage people in team and to work together and thinking about team success. And that's very important. Not it's a psychological, or that's a matter of culture, I don't know. Anyway, that's we need some time to bring all this, because in Armenia we have lots of young people who are dealing with geospatial technologies, but to have them and to bring them in one umbrella and try to have them in a team working process, it is hard, because each most of them, let's say, choose the individual path and trying to make their individual career, let's say. Yes, but that's also not difficult. Just we need some time, because you know that Armenia faces many challenges. We faced war during the last several years. Yes, pandemic, but we also have war. Now we are recovering from the shocking situation. So there are political some issues which really constrains the engagement, youth engagement. But it is a matter of time. We will have them in our national community, and which will pave the bridge to bring them into the global community.
Amazing. Thank you, Dr.
We just need some time.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Dr. Susanik and Dr. Lilith. And continuing from what you already have explained later in the latter part, how do you see the role of geo to bring more young people to go into the Earth observation and geo studies, and also linking with national and regional programs?
I think that such a global great events will be very attractive for youngers, because when you are in this mainstream, you feel yourself very confident. You feel that your work is your hard work is not only your hard work, but you have many people which share your hard work and understand that it is very not easy to understand all geo processes we are trying to understand. And these geo communities and global communities are very useful for youngers, as it gives opportunity not only as knowledge gaining portal, but also opportunities to share their experience, to find some laboratories, other centers to share their knowledge and to do their research. I think that we should put this in our mind to be everywhere in all these global initiatives, to be in the mainstream. And I think that young generation, due to this, youth tracks also will attract and will engage in this geo community.
Thank you for both your answer, Dr. Shushanik and Dr. Lilik. I also want to ask again. So I see that in the leadership position in your center, we can see 50-50% of men and women. But how about the team of the staff? Like, how is it also the same composition, 50-50, or how do you see the challenges for women? Because in case of Indonesia, for example, or in other Asia country, maybe engagement of women into the use into the geo things, it's a little bit still less because maybe some is, oh, it's too much computerized or too much programming, but how do you see the women engagement in Armenia, and how you see we can be more enrolled with women, and also how you see this opportunity within geo community?
It's very hard question to answer, but if you see from slides, we have women in our scientific community, but as a woman, I can say that it is not easy to survive in environmental sciences. We have lots of field trips, sampling campaigns, so we should all participate, but we have a very important social role also to be mother, so it's very hard to but
flexible.
yes, but we find a way, and me and Shushanik are as an example to join this social role, science and family also. And I think that when you are working in your favorite field of interest, it is not, there is no difference, you are woman or man. So in our center, we have this issue to bring and to keep in our center not only men but women also. And I think it's one of the great points you noticed. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I can feel that, and it's really struggling, but it's also bringing our patient and also bringing our family all in balance is quite tough. But it's really nice to see your strong leadership in Armenia, and also bringing not only within Armenia but globally, attaching with this geo community globally. So we really hope that we can find some way of opportunity to work together in some near future. And we really thank you again for this really inspiring session. Thank you for many of your good quotes, especially to take your dream being into ideas, into plan and into action, and also how to build a team. I also like when you say it's a team, not a staff. So you are leveraging all the young leaders there. You are not seeing them as not only yeah. So it's all building their capacity as enabling the leadership position to nurture the young people within the center and within the geo community, and bridging to this whole more global geo community from Armenia. And I hope it can also spread into the more Asia country and globally. So thank you very much for this inspiring session. I return back to Delali Keme. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rama, for highlighting you Inspire and that active moderation session. After 90 minutes of an interesting session, we will bring the third day of the Geo Week Youth Track to a close. Thank you, Jan, Lilith, and Shushanik for that very interesting presentation, showing the balance between your work and competencies in EO tools and services, as well as your personal perspectives on your career journey. And also Mikhail and Rama for the active moderation of the sessions that followed the presentations. I'm very confident from the presentations that were made that the kind of youth community of practice that will be set up will be fit for purpose, because everyone seems to know what we need to make sure that we achieve our aim. We'll be looking for volunteers to join and push it forward. So I welcome all in this session to come to show up for tomorrow's session, which is the last day, day 4, and the last day of the youth track. It will take place at 11 a.m. Central European Time. And then we can share the right information about how you can join and be an active participant. We know that when people don't own processes, they fail. So we are hoping that the enthusiasm that you've shown in this session will be reflected in the active participation that you put in it. So please remember that we are looking for volunteers, and we look forward to receiving your emails showing your interest and willingness to take roles. I'm not sure, Florian, do you have any last words before we say bye-bye?
No, thanks. Yes, actually, just one thing to add. If you want to volunteer to be part of the community of practice, I just put in the chat my email address. So please write to me before tomorrow morning so that we can prepare. And we're really looking forward for the session tomorrow. So thank you very much, Delali, and all the speakers and moderator. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Then see you tomorrow at 11 Central European Time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.